and welcome to Unveil Your Brilliance with Angilie Kapoor here on the Win-Win Women TV network, where each week we explore helping you to break free from the illusions that are holding you back. My name is Angilie Kapoor. I am a conscious leadership coach, a best-selling multi-book author, and inspirational speaker, as well as your host. I'm also the founder of my coaching company, Oversight Global. Now, at Oversight Global, we are on a mission to address the consciousness crisis in the world one leader at a time. Now, this episode is going to be a bit different as we are celebrating a TV show milestone today. It is our 25th episode today. Woo woo! I can't tell you how excited I am that we have reached this milestone. My team and I feel truly blessed to firstly have been given the opportunity to even have this TV show, and also by how well it's been received by all of you out there and by all of the guests that we've been able to have on and who have been given their time and who have freely shared their experience, expertise, and insights with all of us and with all of you. Now, to celebrate this achievement, we don't have one amazing guest today, but we're being joined by four amazing guests. Today, we have four absolutely fabulous ladies joining us for a group exploration on the topic of the power of women. Now, lovely lady, welcome to our special episode of Future Forward, Unlocking Women's True Potential. Now, on this milestone episode, we'll be exploring the power of women, including what makes us as women powerful, the historical oppression that we as women have experienced, what needs to change for us to realize our potential fully, and how we can create an environment where we can lead and excel. Now, as always, I'd like to share a quote with you that relates to the topic of our episode discussion, and this week is no different. Except today, since it's a special day, I'd like to share with you two quotes before we bring on our four lovely guests. Now, firstly, as women achieve power, the barriers will fall. As society sees what women can do, as women see what women can do, there will be more women out there doing things and we'll all be better off for it. Now, these beautiful, powerful words were spoken by Sandra Day O'Connor, who was the first woman to lead a state senate, the first woman to serve on the United States Supreme Court, and the first woman to have her name attached to a law school. Now, this quote is by American political figure, diplomat, activist, as well as former First Lady of the United States, Eleanor Roosevelt. She said, women, whether subtly or seriously, have always been a tremendous power in the destiny of the world. Now, these two quotes go quite perfectly with our episode topic, don't you think? So, without further ado, let's go ahead and welcome our distinguished panel of experts: self mastery coach Dr. Rhonda H. Thompson, content marketing strategist Trish Lynn, certified life and health coach Alicia Farricielli, and professor of marketing Dr. Sharmin Attaran on to the show. Now, I am so thrilled to have our four fabulous guests, our distinguished panel of experts here with us today to help us celebrate our milestone 25th episode of Unveil Your Brilliance. Now, firstly, let's go ahead and welcome Alicia Farricielli on to the show. So, Alicia
Hi.
actually comes from, she actually leverages her 20-year career in marketing, PR, and entrepreneurship as a certified life and health coach, focusing on intuitive healing and personal empowerment. Her approach emphasizes intuition, holistic well being, and life balance, helping clients to overcome their limiting beliefs and embrace change. She's also the host of Intuitive Revolution podcast, and Alicia offers empathetic and insightful guidance for those seeking self discovery and empowerment. Alicia, so excited to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much. All right, next up we have Dr. Rhonda. Hi, Dr. Rhonda.
Hello.
So, Dr. Rhonda is the CEO and founder of Harris Thompson Masteries and is a renowned speaker, author, and self mastery coach with a background in general and counseling psychology. She's also the recipient of the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award, wow, and a former U.S. Army officer. She uses her extensive experience to guide women towards self mastery and personal excellence. Her workshops and motivational talks foster a supportive environment for personal growth and positive change. Such a pleasure to have you on, Dr. Rhonda.
Wonderful to be here.
Next up, we have Dr. Sharmin. Dr. Sharmin, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Now, Dr. Sharmin is a professor of marketing at Bryant University. She leads the top-ranked digital marketing program in the U.S. and is a renowned expert in building impactful online brands. She is a co-author of The Little Black Book of Social Media. She offers a masterclass that equips individuals and businesses with strategies for thriving in the digital space. Her expertise bridges academic theory with practical application. So wonderful to have you here, Dr. Sharmin.
Thank you.
And last but definitely not least, we have Trish Lynn. Welcome, Trish.
Hi.
So Trish is a single mom of 3 as well as a survivor of narcissistic abuse. She's transformed her life into one of empowerment and purpose. Now, as a content marketing strategist, she helps women who have endured toxic relationships regain their voice and confidence. Her mission is to inspire others to reclaim their power and thrive personally and professionally. Welcome, Trish.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, oh my gosh, it's such a powerful group of ladies that we have here today. So, ladies watching, just get ready to be inspired and empowered with all of these ladies that you have here before you. I have a feeling this is going to be an epic conversation. Now, before we jump right in and get started on talking about the power of women, I do want to let our viewers know that we will be periodically displaying each of our guests' contact information and social media platforms. So if at any time you feel called to check out more information on what one of our guests or all of our guests, what they do and what they might have to offer to help you, be sure to go to those platforms, follow them, and connect with them. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right in. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is, what makes women so powerful? So, Dr. Rhonda, did you want to go ahead and get us started off?
Sure. I love this question because, we hear about women being powerful, and my focus in my business is helping women to recognize the power within. But for this point of the conversation, I'd like to say what makes us powerful would be our passion, our strength, and our resilience. And I like to refer to it as EKE. We use experiences, then we fortify it with knowledge, and then we execute. So I think we're very good at using EKE to strengthen our families, strengthen our communities, and then to also strengthen those places of work for us.
That's beautiful. I love that. EKE. I'm going to have to remember that every time I'm doing something. Thank you so much. That's so insightful. Alicia, how about you? What makes women so powerful, you think?
I think it's the feminine energies that we have inside of ourselves that just make us so special. We all have it, but women are able to grasp that and to bring it on board to projects, to things that we're doing in ways that a lot of men don't want to do in today's society. So I think the feminine power is makes us so powerful for that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. How about you, Dr. Sharmin? What about you? What are your insights on what makes women so powerful?
Yes, this is such a wonderful question. I agree. What we have is women possess this inherent power, right? It's multifaceted, it's transformative, right? And it comes from this unique combination. And Rhonda, you said it, right? Resilience, emotional intelligence, and we have a collaborative mindset, right? And if we think about in marketing, that's where the world I'm coming from, right? We see that women are actually driving purchase decisions. 85% of consumer choices are influenced by women, right? And we're not just powerful in decision making, but understanding the emotional and even psychological, right, drivers behind choices. And that's really invaluable in business, in marketing, right? In marketing, we're in the business of understanding, empathizing, because we're ultimately trying to predict, right, the behavior of our customers, right, and meet their needs. We also really excel at building and nurturing communities. And that's super, important right now, thinking about social media, an area that I'm very passionate about, our ability to empathize, our ability to listen, our ability to lead with compassion, right, gives us an advantage in creating brands, in creating messaging that's going to resonate really deeply with diverse audiences. And we can use social media to amplify our voices in really unprecedented ways. So we've got all the platforms like Instagram, we've got Twitter or X, LinkedIn, right? These are tools for us to express our opinions and advocate for causes that we're passionate about, right? And that's really that kind of digital empowerment has created a shift in how we perceive ourselves and how we're perceived by others. It's very exciting.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. Very insightful. And how about you, Trish? So what makes women so powerful?
So it's a summary of everything that was just said. We are resilient and we are adaptable. We are emotionally intelligent and able to adapt to the situations at hand or what is coming at us, what we are facing. We connect to our intuition. I find males do not know how to do that, or don't want to do that. So we have this strength that supersedes the physical strength, but we have more of a mental strength. And in my case, being a mom, that leadership role becomes just a natural piece, being able to do all of these different things, multitask, handle everything that is thrown at us from all sides. We are just naturally born leaders. And then empathy. We are empathetic. We can connect with people on a different level, which in the big picture makes women just an incredible power. I'm sitting here, you guys are powerhouses. We are a force to be reckoned with when we can put all of these pieces together and show up for the world in this way.
Yeah, definitely. You ladies touched on so many amazing things that I definitely want to make sure that we touch on later. But let's go ahead and talk about what is the potential of that power that we were just talking about. So let's go ahead and Alicia, why don't you start us off on this one?
So the potential is limitless, and that's the cool part about it. Is when I feel like when as women we put our minds to something, we actually we achieve it. The thing that gets in our way is our self-worth and society and telling us that we're not able to do that as female women. We see so much of this changing over with, and again, let's go back to the feminine power that's energies that's residing inside of us, that's starting to come out, to flow. Men are starting to capture a little bit onto this too. But if we tap into that and let ourselves just attract, and we don't have to be the forceful nature that we need, that we're told that we have to be. We start attracting and starting laying back and seeing beautiful things happen. To me, that is our potential, and that's our power right there.
Right. Dr. Rhonda, how about you? The potential of that power that we have.
Yes. Another great question, Angilie. So I think about the potential of our power centering around influence for positive change. Anytime we are having major changes, we can go all the way back to the women's suffrage movement. Anytime we want positive change, women have to influence it. And using that influence, in a positive way. We know we have this power. We see it through music. We see it through television. We see it with our families, even in our schools. We have that power for influence. And if we use it in the right way, I think that we will see positive change moving forward.
Yeah, beautifully said. How about you, Trish? What's your opinion on the potential of the power that we women have?
Where women are stepping more and more, and we are seeing it more and more into that leadership role. And it is being recognized, the power that we have is being recognized as that leadership role, because we are able to bring so many pieces together. And we're seeing the shift globally that women are one, acknowledging this power that we do hold, and then stepping up. And through the fear, there's still obviously that baseline fear of, what if, because we've been suppressed for so long, stepping through that and coming together, supporting each other to be the women, the leaders that we need to see in the world globally.
Exactly. Dr. Sharmin, how about you?
You guys are completely right? The potential of women's power is vast, and I think it's largely untapped, right? If it was fully realized, women could redefine industries. We're leading in innovation. We'd be creating more equitable societies. I mean, just research from HBR Harvard Business Review, they found that women-led companies outperform their peers in innovation and in employee satisfaction. That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
We bring such a unique perspective that we drive change. We can foster these more collaborative environments, and they can be profitable, but they're also sustainable and they're socially responsible, right? When women are in leading roles, they're more likely to empower other women, right? And help us kind of harness the potential that leads to that economic growth, the gender equality, which is all really should be intrinsically linked.
Right, exactly. So what I want to talk about next, I think, is where really the bulk of our conversation is going to be. It's a very interesting topic. Some of you have touched on it already. And so let's talk about the history of how women have been and continue to be oppressed and hindered from being aware of the power that we have, but most importantly, realizing that potential. Like I mentioned, a few of you have mentioned some ways in which that has been happening already. When I think about this question and kind of think about, what's happened in history, I really think about how isolation has been one of the big ways that people have been, or I shouldn't say people, but has been one of the ways that we've been hindered in being able to really have that awareness of our power and actually, realize our potential. Is that I think all of you mentioned it, is that, when we women are together, we're so much more powerful. But when we're kind of isolated and going through the challenges that we individually go through, it becomes, we think that we're alone, that nobody else is experiencing what we're experiencing, that how in the world am I going to be able to, make it out of this on the other side when I have no example showing me how to do that. And, that's just one of the ways that I think we've been kind of hindered from that. Other ways is kind of getting manipulated and sucked into hustle culture, believing that there's this overall definition of success that we have to achieve that's not necessarily our personal definition of success, and the different ways that, we have been hindered from climbing like the career ladders, or being told we can't have a career and be a successful spouse and mom. So many different ways, but I'm definitely interested to hear all of your thoughts on it. So let's go ahead and start with you, Trish. So what are your thoughts on, the historical kind of oppression and hindrance of, women really being able to realize their power and their potential?
We see, I talk a lot about toxic relationships and narcissistic abuse. And when you look at even the bigger picture, everything is so male dominated.
Right.
Everything we look at, every industry has been male dominated for so long because women are supposed to stay at home and cook and clean and do the dishes and all of this stuff, take care of the kids. And that is great. That was my role for 10 years. I loved it. I loved being able to be there for my kids, but I recognized I had so much more to offer, and being able to recognize, it's recognizing. So like in the toxic relationship, I was told I didn't have what it takes. I was told I didn't have the personality to show up and do what I wanted to do. And it's overcoming those pieces so that we see, and again, as women come together, we're recognizing more and more what we have to offer together, because we support each other. We lift each other up. We say, oh, you're feeling that way? No, you feel this way. Like, this is what you've got. This is your power. And we're supporting each other to realize what it is we get to bring to the table to see that change that we want to create and see.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Alicia, how about you? What are your thoughts on this aspect?
I have so many thoughts, especially everything going on. Not to get political or anything, but we have literally been so suppressed, and it's so refreshing, no matter what your political agenda party is, to see women rising up now and stating their claim. And what's sad to me about it is the things that they're bashed about are not their political, not their politics or their agendas or whatever they have. It's who they are, or their race, or their gender, or the way that they talk or something, or the way they dress. I mean, we go back and look at history. So many women are just bashed for their looks and the way they dress, and they're not looked at for what they're coming out of their mouth. And that's really sad. And I love seeing women becoming so strong and just being like, letting that go, but still stepping up to the plate. That's really impressive to me on it. I think there's so many changes that are taking place, hopefully sooner than later. But I feel women are coming to a point to where they're fed up with being this, there's nothing. I was a stay-at-home mom too, as well, for many years. I was raised by a stay-at-home mom in a very super traditional conservative family. And so that's not who I am though anymore. And so I feel that with women that are going through that, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. But I love seeing the women coming up and saying, I can take care of my family. I can do this and can do that. And also giving themselves grace through it, because we think we have to be superheroes, and we don't. We do the best we can do.
Right. Exactly. Dr. Rhonda, how about you? What are your thoughts on this topic?
So wonderful things being said here. I would just like to say that, worldwide, we understand that many of the things that women go through in terms of how they're looked at, what they're expected to do, are based on cultural norms. And I will say it's a little easier in some of our countries to change those cultural norms. But like it's been said here, we have women elevated in politics and businesses. And so I want us to understand that we can, again, use that influence to change the cultural norms. That's how we elevate our power. That's how we show our power. I too was a military spouse. I'm a veteran and a military spouse. So I spent some years dedicated to my family, being a stay-at-home mom, and looking after my family while my spouse was deployed. So I know what that looks like on both sides of it. And I just think that not being or looking at it as oppression, but the need to change cultural norms. So I like to spend a little bit of time on the problem, and then most of my thought process on what are we going to do about it. So that's what I would ask ladies. What are we going to do about it, other than just talk about it?
I love that. It's a challenge. All right, Dr. Sharmin, how about you? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm just thinking about how as women, we've had to fight for every single inch of progress, right? And when I think about in marketing, right, this is often, this oppression has been kind of us being sidelined or misrepresented in media, in advertising. Women are always portrayed in this stereotypical, very kind of limiting roles. And it's not only hindered our awareness of our power, but it's also created kind of internalized barriers like self-doubt or imposter syndrome, right? We need to see, and that's what we struggle with today, right? We need to see women in leadership roles or in these other roles, right? So we need to increase the visibility of women in these roles so that we can kind of challenge these ongoing stereotypical narratives and help each other realize our biggest, fullest potential.
Beautiful. I love that. So a couple of things came up for me while all of you were giving your amazing responses. So a couple of things that I want to kind of sideline and talk about is, so we've kind of detailed different ways in which we've been hindered and oppressed throughout history, and how that's really kind of become cultural norms and something we need to work on together to change. So let me get your guys' thoughts, your ladies' thoughts on why do you think we have been subject to that oppression? What does that have to do with our power and our potential in realizing it? So, Alicia, I'll go with you first.
I think we have been, is it basically asking why you think we kind of been oppressed?
Yeah. Why have we been targeted?
So full transparency, I honestly think it's because we have so much power, and because we live in a masculine world. We live in a masculine dominated world, and that comes with power. In order for masculine power to reign, the feminine has to back down. And the first thing will die will be the feminine. Now that we're feeling, the polarities going on. And I'll go back to energetically wise. We're feeling those polarities going on, and you can't have both. You have to have an equal balance, yin and yang. And so in order to balance those off, we have to have more feminine power rising up to offset the masculine power. I think it's a fear-based, we're living in a very fear-based society. And I think a lot of that is, definitely legitimate, but it's also caused a lot of it through the masculinity that we have. It's such a hustle culture, and people are burnt out. They're tired. They want things to be different and better. And I think that's where the femininity comes into play, and women like ourselves coming up and rising up and speaking out about it.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with you there. How about you, Dr. Rhonda? What are your thoughts on why we have been targeted and oppressed from really realizing and coming into our full power?
Well, I'm going to dig a little deeper and look inside. Sometimes women go along to get along because it becomes a little bit easy. So again, we can sit and we can talk about the changes. We can talk about those things that aren't happening in the way that we would like for them to. But sometimes being comfortable works for some of us. But what I want us to be mindful of is when we see that, we have policies or we have things sliding back into that conformity from decades and decades ago that we don't want to see happen, is that we don't sit quietly and go along to get along. Because what will happen is we'll have that same masculine energy changing the way that we have, or changing those things that we've progressed on. So let's not be quiet. Let's make our voices heard and ensure, whether it's at home or it's in the office, that we are continuing to push forward and not backwards.
Right. Yeah, no, such a great, insightful response. I think you're definitely right that, and I mean, we can see it, kind of every day when we do things, especially in the workplace. We'll hear of a new policy or something that's happening, and we'll talk about it and we'll complain about it, but nobody really steps up to really challenge it and really, make progress forward and changing that. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, that same thing's been happening for 20 years. So yeah. So Trish, how about you? What are your thoughts on this?
So I think it's a lot of fear-based as well. And again, fear-based on the men's side of they need to keep us small so that they can stay in control and in power. And women going along with it to keep things comfortable, to not be stepping out of, that comfort zone and challenging what is the norm for what we've been used to for so long. And more women are, recognizing, hey, I don't like this. I have to be the one that do something about it, or it's going to keep going.
Right. Yeah, beautifully said. And Dr. Sharmin, how about you? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much inequality, right? We have pay gap, we have the lack of leadership roles, we have, really the need for policies that support women, parental leave, access to education, access to healthcare. I mean, you would think these are basic rights, but they're being challenged even now. So I think it just stems from this base that needs fixing.
Yeah, definitely. So something else that I want to talk about is, it came up a lot just now about really it being fear-based and really men trying to keep us small. So what do you think a world looks like where women are able to fully come into their full potential and recognize the power that we do have? I mean, why are men so fearful and want to suppress us? What's going to happen if we're no longer suppressed? Any thoughts on that? So, Dr. Sharmin, I'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, we need a world where women are depicted as powerful, where we are depicted as diverse, as the complex individuals that we are, not just as consumers, not just as, these secondary characters. And in marketing, I always think about brands, right? They need to lead by example. They need to promote diversity. They need to promote inclusivity in their campaigns and even in their corporate structures, right? And like the advocacy I was talking about with the structure for support for, equal pay and parental leave. I think that we need to harness mentorship and networking opportunities, which is kind of, it's what you're doing right now, which is amazing. We need to build this pipeline of, female leaders that are confident, they're empowered to use their voices, and where our power is really recognized and valued and harnessed to create more of a just and inclusive world, right? It all comes back together if we work together.
Right. That's beautiful. Dr. Rhonda, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. What are your thoughts?
Yes, I love that you stated working together because it feeds right into what I wanted to offer. I think that through unity and elevating, we know how we can be sometimes. We see some individuals doing well, some women doing well. We don't support them, or we feel like, well, I'd like to be doing that. And, it's the pulling down effect of not supporting each other. So the causes get out there and we hear about them, but they don't move forward. So I'm going to just suggest being mindful for those who have the skills, have the tools, elevate and support. And then when you know that you have the skills and you have the influence, let's not conform to the masculine sector if we know that's not working for us. Let's make sure we keep those ideas at the forefront and making sure that they get incorporated.
Love that. Love that. How about you, Trish? What are your thoughts on this?
I think we need the equality. Men are very still ego driven, and they don't recognize the pieces that we do have to offer. And when we can come together and actually work together to create these pieces, it's going to be more sustainable one in the long run, because women are the brains. We see a lot of different perspectives, and men are, it's still very needed. So being able to come together equally and see the changes that we want to see, and, not keep it, there's a lot of pieces that I'm in Canada. So there's a lot of pieces that aren't the same over here as they are in the US, but like policies and things like that, when I was working, it was all still very male dominated. And even in my workplace, I didn't have a voice. So yet I was the one who was running everything, and they were seeing the money from me being the one to run everything. It's being able to recognize the strengths that we as women are bringing to the table equally with the strengths of the men who are at the table, and being recognized in that way so that we can come together in unity as a whole for the world.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love that. And Alicia, how about you? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah. So I feel like we have such a division of, you're either like feminine or you're like anti-male. And so I want to clear that up. Like, I don't think any of us are anti-men. We need men and women. We need both of their energies, both their personalities to run with it. Unfortunately, again, we've had more masculine approach for feminine. So it's kind of balancing those out with it. And to, like, again, like everybody said, working together on stuff, but women really rising up and taking ownership of their ideas. If you're sitting in a board meeting and you have an idea, speak up. You're sitting in any type of meeting. I mean, just get out there and use your voice. That's what we're here for.
Right. Yeah, beautifully said. I love that. So, okay, the next thing that I wanted to talk about is, one of the things that I have found, like a majority of the viewers who watch Unveil Your Brilliance are really struggling with self-awareness. So when it comes to really knowing who they are as a woman, it's very hard for them to be able to explain that to you if you ask them that question, because, they have so many responsibilities. They're working, they're a spouse, they're a mom, they're a caregiver to their parents, they're animals. They have so much going on. And so, when you ask these women, who are you? and what are, your core values and what's your passion, a lot of them have difficulty being able to answer that. And so that's a question I wanted to explore is, number one, what are your ladies' thoughts on, majority of women not really knowing who they are? And what are some simple steps that they can start taking to be able to change that for themselves starting today if they wish to? And so, Dr. Rhonda, I'll start with you.
Thank you. So I hear what you're saying, and I understood this some time ago, and I developed what I call an image compass. And I ask women, who they are. And many times they focused on who they should be. Sometimes it's who they ought to be. And then I talk about who they actually are. So those three components we go over in a little activity. Who you ought to be, that usually comes from family, church, society. Who you should be, some of those are goals or things that you set out that you want to do. And then it's the actual self. Sometimes we forget about the actual self and who you actually are. You know yourself better than anyone. So the goal is to combine the three of those. The most genuine version of us is a combination of those three and figuring out who that person is versus who somebody else wants you to be.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for that. How about Dr. Sharmin? What are your thoughts on this topic?
It's such an important topic that it's actually the first chapter of my book because
nice.
it's so important for women, people to find this sweet spot. And what I define as a sweet spot is coming up with the answer to three things. Number one, what do you have experience in? What are some jobs you've had, some skill sets that you've been able to work on in your past? What are your talents? Like, what are you actually good at? A lot of people think that it's got to be this very, cookie cutter skill set that they have. It doesn't have to be. So what is your experiences? What are you actually good at? What are your talents? And then what are you passionate about? What can you do for hours at a time and you don't notice the time go by, right? What do people come to you for advice about and you could just chat about it all day? If you can find where these three things meet, that's that sweet spot. And that's when the aha moments happen. That's when, I help people build their personal and professional brands. That's where all of a sudden they're like, this is what I could write about, read about, talk about, think about forever. And they find that and it gets really exciting. So that's what I think.
No, that's awesome. Thank you for that. That's awesome. Trish, how about you? What's your thought on this?
I was muted. The self-identity piece is such a big piece, and having that self-awareness of who we are. I was asked once about a year and a half ago, right when I was in the midst of my separation, who is Trish? And I could not answer that question because I didn't know who I was apart from being a mom or being a wife. Starting to grow my business, it's recognizing not only, who is Trish? Well, I'm fun. I'm a loving person on top of being a mom. But it's going in and doing the work that a lot of us don't want to tap into and do, and answering the questions that a lot of us don't want to tap in and answer and sit and, radical self responsibility and taking the responsibility for our actions and what it is that we have created in our lives. A lot of us don't want to tap into that and look at our core values. Well, what am I accepting in my life? What do I want to accept in my life? What don't I want to accept in my life? It's all of these pieces that come together that ultimately make us who we are, and being able to take that responsibility for what it is we have created that really goes into, who are you?
Yeah. No, I love that. Beautiful. And how about you, Alicia? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I actually work with a lot of clients through these, navigate this, and we go take it through an inner child perspective. So I tell them to look at how were you in 3, 4, 5 years old? What was your personality like until you started having, because when we get a little older, we start having society or, parents, teachers, friends are telling us who we're supposed to be. Who were you when you were 3, 4, 5? If you don't know, go look at pictures of yourself, if you have any. What are the expressions on your face? What are the memories that you had? That's really getting into your core of your inner child. And to me, that shows who you really, truly are with that.
Yeah. No, I find that, I also find that interesting that, if we go back to childhood, we can start to discover who we are. I actually have done that and come full circle with some of my childhood dreams that I had that I completely lost during adulthood. So that's to me very interesting as well. So, all right, let's talk about what the future for women, what does that look like? And or need to look like, really, in order for us to kind of rise up and become aware of our power and start to really realize our potential. So Trish, let's go ahead and start with you on this one. What does the future look like or need to look like for women?
Women need to continue to recognize the strengths that we do have and continue to empower each other in our strengths, in the leadership roles that are coming up, and taking control of what we do offer and what we bring to the table, recognizing that we don't have to dim who we are to, stay in this little safe bubble, but, let's break out of that bubble and let's be the women that we need to see. The confidence piece and the self-worth piece is so big, because we doubt everything that we do because we've been kept quiet for so long. Even just relating it back to, my marriage, I was quiet for so long that having that confidence to actually step up and step out and say the things I want to say has taken a lot of inner work, but we need to do that work for ourselves so that we can help the world become the place that we want to live in.
Right. Beautiful. How about you, Alicia? What does the future look like or need to look like for women moving forward?
I'm going to piggyback right off what she said. Go do that inner work, because we have to heal ourselves. And the brighter our light shines, the more we're going to attract in. We can attract in that negative. We can attract it in the masculine. We can attract all of that in, but we have to do that work. And we have to start shining. So stop dimming your lights. Let it shine. Be who you are, and be unapologetic about it.
Exactly. I love it. Yeah, it's just like the title of the show, Unveil Your Brilliance, Shine Your Bright Lights.
Keep
Dr.
shining.
Rhonda. Yeah, exactly. Dr. Rhonda, your thoughts on this?
I love it. We want it to shine bright. I'm going to incorporate my theme, which is master your power. And that starts with us focusing on those little girls and our young women. And then we lead the way by showing them what that looks like. We can't just do it for ourselves, enjoy it, and say, oh, that was great. We have to build for the future. And the future will have them doing the same thing that we're doing by mastering our power.
I love it. Yes, being the role models for future generations. I love that. And Dr. Sharmin, how about you? What are your thoughts on this?
And I'm going to piggyback off of that and say we need to find mentors that can be our guide, that we can learn from. And in addition, we need to also be mentors. I found in my experience, it's been so rewarding to give perspective and help guide someone else. I learned so much more than I thought I would in that experience. And the last thing is to continue to network. When we network, we build those communities, we have those meaningful conversations, we find those mentors, we find those leaders, and we find those people that become our village. And I think that keeping the conversation going is so important.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with all of you in regards to that. We talked about one of the ways that we are kept oppressed is being kept isolated. And when we, find our community or in community with other women, that's really when we start to, realize our potential and start to grow and heal and things like that. I definitely found for myself in my own experiences that, I personally struggled with asking for help. I thought it was a weakness. I grew up believing that it was a weakness to ask for help. that it meant that I didn't know things that I should know. And so that was a big part of my own journey, was, learning that no, it's not a weakness to ask for help. It's actually a strength. And that, being supported by others is important. You can't be successful on your own. You can, but it'll be a lot of hard work and it'll take a long time. But really, it really takes a team effort. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think especially as women, we're kind of pit against one another in competition. Oh, she's prettier than you are, or she knows more than you do. She's taller than you are, but really that's not our reality of who we really are inside. We really are all connected and need one another in order to, really make this world a better place. So yeah, just wanted to throw my 2 cents in there. All right,
Great.
ladies. Oh, yeah, thank you. So, all right, ladies, so let's go ahead and wrap this up. So, any final thoughts that you have or things that you wanted to share with the ladies who are watching? So, Trish, I'll go ahead and start that one with you.
Don't let your fear take over your impact. If you know you are here for something, go for it. Find your support, find your community, and don't stop until you do, because what is in your heart is greater than any fear that you are facing.
Awesome. Beautiful. I love that. Alicia, how about you? Any final thoughts or anything you want to say specifically to the ladies who are watching?
Yeah, again, go do the inner work and find your self-worth, because when you start finding your self-worth, you're going to find your value, and just nothing's going to stop you at that point, because you know that you're worthy of something. You're going to go for it.
Oh, beautiful. I love that. How about you, Dr. Sharmin? What are your final thoughts, things you want to share with the ladies watching?
I think we all know that we need to champion each other's voices, right? We need to push for a future where our power, our contributions are fully recognized, where we're fully valued, and work together to get there.
Beautiful. Beautifully said. Thank you for sharing that. And then Dr. Rhonda, how about you? What are your final thoughts or things you want to share with our ladies?
Well, ladies, I'm just going to say you are powerful. You have the power within you to elevate. And the biggest thing here is to not treat everything like it's a competition. Sometimes you need to offer help. Sometimes you need to ask for help. So let's just keep that in mind and help each other.
Beautiful. I love it. Well, ladies, thank you all so much for being here, helping us to celebrate our 25th episode, and for sharing all of your experience, your insights, and your wisdom with our ladies. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, and there it is. That is it for our special milestone 25th episode on Future Forward, Unlocking Women's True Potential, with our distinguished panel of experts, self-mastery coach Dr. Rhonda H. Thompson, content marketing strategist Trish Lynn, certified life and health coach Alicia Farricielli, and the professor of marketing Dr. Sharmin Attaran. I want to thank Alicia, Dr. Rhonda, Dr. Sharmin, and Trish Lynn again for joining us today and for sharing their insights on how we as women can reclaim our power and shape a brighter future individually as well as collectively for the world. It was such a phenomenal conversation, and I hope it further inspires and helps you, Bright Light, unveil your brilliance. And I also want to thank you, beautiful soul, for being here with us today as well. Thank you for being here and helping us celebrate our 25th episode. As I've mentioned before, I don't believe in coincidences, and you, Bright Light, were meant to be here to receive whatever it is you were meant to receive from this episode today. So keep it up, keep showing up, and keep making progress towards unveiling your brilliance. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that you'll check out our previous episodes on winwinwomen.tv/unveil-your-brilliance, as well as join me live next week. Remember, like Sandra Day O'Connor, who was the first woman to lead a state senate, the first woman to serve on the United States Supreme Court, and the first woman to have her name attached to a law school, said, As women achieve power, the barriers will fall. As society sees what women can do, as women see what women can do, there will be more women out there doing things and we'll all be better off for it. And also remember the words from American political figure, diplomat, activist, and former First Lady of the US, Eleanor Roosevelt. She said women, whether subtly or vociferously, have always been a tremendous power in the destiny of the world. Now, I hope our conversation today has helped you recognize the extraordinary power you are capable of, the limitlessness of your potential, and the phenomenal impact you can have in your own world, and that us women can collectively have on the entire world's bright light. Thanks so much for watching and celebrating this milestone with us. Take care, and I'll see you next week.